I'm Coach Dave. Welcome back to Coach's Corner.
Come on.
Welcome again to Coach's Corner. Want to shout out to our sponsor, Farmer Strength. Give them a look for apparel, for all your strength and conditioning training. Coach G, doing wonders. Follow my blogs about my journey on my fitness journey. Today, we have Hall of Fame boxer coming out of Connecticut through Providence, Shelly Vincent, Shelito's Way. She is a Connecticut Boxing Hall of Fame and she will be inducted into the Women's Boxing Hall of Fame in April in Las Vegas. So big congratulations to you. And thank you for being on Coach's Corner. We appreciate you making the trip down here today. I know it was a little bit of a haul, and we've been going back and forth, but it's a real honor to have you here and, bring us kind of up to date of what's going on with you. You got a lot of good stuff. For people, let me just throw this in. For people who don't know Shelly and, being part of the women's boxing evolution, and she is one of the pioneers in this sport. She is 27-2 as a pro. So she has been around the sport, and prior to all the big fights that we see today, she built it for women's boxing. And thank you very much. And, you had a great, great career. Now you're training. You got a gym coming up in Providence that you're working on right now.
Yeah.
Kind of like bring us to you. What brought you to the sport of boxing, or how did boxing find you, Shelly?
All right. So thank you guys for having me and, getting people that don't know me to get to know me and everything. So what brought me to boxing, or what boxing to me is hard and it's complicated. I don't know how deep.
It's all what you want to do,
what we say, I can say whatever?
You can say whatever you want here.
Any way I want to say
Any
it?
way you want to say it.
All right.
We got no filters.
All right, no filters. So I was a kid that went through extreme trauma. I'm probably going to start crying. So I was abused since the age of 7. My mother was abused. And we'll just start there. So from the age of 7, I was abused to the point where we was having guns waved in our face. I was hung from the wall by my throat, unconscious. My mom was beat, poured with gasoline on her, chased around the house. Living at home is terrible, man. And I won't stay on that too long.
Right.
We'll fast forward to everything. I don't even know how long this is gonna take. So, but just that type of environment we was living in. I had 2 little sisters, but they my sister, I put it to you this way, it was their father. I was raised with their father. And I didn't meet my father until I was older. My middle sister didn't even speak till she was 7. And we didn't realize, now that we all talk when we're older and we're speaking on stuff, now I realize that she didn't speak till she was 7 because of the trauma.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And back then, even all the stuff that we're living through, we think it's normal. We think
you're
other
kids, right?
Yeah, I don't understand anything.
Right.
And it's just all this abuse, all this, it's very disturbing. So my mom finally gets away from this guy. He's beating her. He's getting arrested, but she keeps picking him up and bringing him home. And as a kid, I'm like, well, why do you keep bringing him back here? He's hitting me, he's hitting you. You don't want him here, but you keep bringing him back.
Right.
But then again, fast forward to your older, he's threatening her. We don't understand this. And all this stuff. It's I watch all these movies and stuff, and then it's you start to understand it as an adult, because my mom died at 36. So 37. My mom was diagnosed at 36, and she died at 37. And I'm going to bounce all over the place, because it's hard to talk about, and it's right. But, so I lost my mom at a young age. But, so I haven't got to ask her questions that I would want to as an adult.
Right.
Because I was a kid when she died.
Right. So you wanted to put the pieces together. You didn't get a chance
and
to
I
do
can't
that.
get those. But but him threatening her, Christmas. I hate Christmas. I don't celebrate Christmas. I don't celebrate holidays, because he would come in, steal all the gifts, take the bulbs, and you know what I'm saying,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. Like, everything's traumatizing. So finally, she gets away from him, and this new man comes in, and he grooms me well. That's just the best way that I'll put it. He's a very good guy. He makes me feel safe. He makes me feel like this man's so nice and everything, and I'm going to be the father that you never had. I'm going to do this for you. I'm going to do that for you. The whole time he's grooming me, this man ends up sexually assaulting me, and long story short there, I start hiding from the man, and now he starts trying to go after my sister. So I don't tell my mom. I don't tell anybody while this was happening, because I'm embarrassed. In my immature mind, well, if I tell my mom, what if she goes back to my dad or my stepfather? Because he was my stepfather too. But
Right.
so just trying to explain things for like the way that I thought, and explain the trauma. So, and like I said, it's very hard to talk about, and I'm not a great speaker, even though people.
Yeah, you're doing. Listen,
right.
you're doing great. So,
So-
whatever it is that you want to
Yeah.
put in or put out, we're
But
good with it.
this is how I got into boxing, and when I talk to kids at school about stuff like this, a bunch of kids reach out to me, so it's good to speak about stuff
Well,
like
see,
this.
here's the deal with boxing, Shelly, right? Here's the deal. And you know this now. You're becoming a coach and you're dealing with people. Okay, so your pedigree as a fighter is awesome because, first of all, a fighter comes to you, you already went through everything as a fighter.
Everything.
You know it, from an
Yeah.
amateur to a pro. You had 29 pro fights.
Yeah.
That's an accomplishment at any level, right? And you're 27-2. So, you got a successful career.
Yeah.
But, you're going to be able to talk to a kid not only about your boxing experience, but your personal experiences.
Right.
Because as anything else, right? All fighters go through shit.
Right.
Most fighters are
And
going
that's
through.
what you get into it
So,
for.
you know what?
Yeah.
How do you connect, right? Because, you're sitting there listening to a story of a kid, a guy or girl training, right? And, when they hear you tell your story a little bit, they look at you like, oh, shit. Now you've established trust not only as a trainer, but as a person.
Right.
Okay, so now you connect to a kid. And to me, that's what makes boxing great. Look, we're all a bunch of misfits running around in the
Facts.
sport. And
Yeah.
if anybody tells you otherwise, they're full of shit.
Yeah.
Okay? And, we all got our stuff that we deal with. And you know what? Boxing brings out the best in you.
Right. It's therapeutic.
It's something like, you know what? Yeah, it is therapeutic without being a drug,
Right.
without being harmful. And you know what? But I'll let you get back to now. You went through all of this and
Yeah.
you walk into a boxing gym. Is that it? Or did you say, hey, I want to
Well,
be.
That's the whole thing, is that when I hid, he tried to go to my sister. My sister
Right.
eventually told my mother. My mother told the police, whatever came to that. But I got into the boxing to try to protect my sisters,
Right.
try to protect if something happened
Your
to me
family
again,
and
to
your
be able
loved
to
ones,
protect.
yeah.
Yeah. So I got into it for that. And then I ended up, just being good at it, and it led from there. But even going into the gym at that point,
It had to be a little intimidating for what you were going through at that time because you're really now you're venturing out of a situation and you're not in your comfort zone anymore. You're going into a boxing
and
gym.
what's mostly in the gym,
Men.
right? So it was just rough. But that's actually where I started to gain my trust for men, and everything. Kent became like a father.
Yeah, because
he got stories.
You know what? But the whole thing, Kent Ward, shout out to the guys at Whaling City. He's a great guy, mainstay in boxing in New England. Listen, what's the dynamic of the boxing gym? You've been in gyms all over the world probably, right?
I was the only girl back then.
Right? But what's the dynamic? Basically, the gyms that I've been, there's very few assholes that you meet in a boxing gym.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, you take your time to earn your stripes a little bit until but, the dynamic in a boxing gym is, look, you're a pro fighter working there. You could be working with a guy from Wall Street,
Yep,
or a
yep,
fireman, a policeman, whoever it is, a kid or
yep,
whatever. Not even in, you know what? The dynamic is a great dynamic.
yep. It's a mix of
It's
everybody.
a great community.
And everybody respects everybody.
Right.
But you know what I'm saying? And it is what it is.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So you know what? How big of an amateur career did you have?
I was
So
11 and 4.
let's sidetrack. You're
Yeah,
in
yep.
the gym.
Yep.
When did it kick for you?
What?
When did you say this is for me?
I fell in love with it immediately. I felt I had
Right.
a safe place. It felt like a safe place, and they told me I was a natural, and
Right.
I fought 30 days later.
After being in the gym.
Yep, after being in the gym, I fought 30 days. I was like, these people are crazy. Like, I shouldn't be fighting 30 days later.
Right.
I lost the first fight, and then I won all my fights after that. Most of them I lost. I was 11 and 4, but I was in and out of prison. So
Okay.
with I had a lot of stuff going on. So
Right.
it would I would come
You had
out.
some
I would
detours.
fight, yeah, because of the stuff that happened at
Personally,
home.
right.
Then after my mother died at 36 she was diagnosed with leukemia. So she was diagnosed at 36. She died 6 months later. So after me being sexually assaulted and all that stuff, I lost my mother. So I went right back into depression again. A couple months later, I lost my grandmother. And in between that,
Yeah. So
I
you're getting hit from all sides, and you're
and I
spiraling.
channeled everything with alcohol and drugs because I was trying to kill myself. So I was constantly trying to kill myself. And the only thing that ever kept me balanced or safe or out of the depression was the boxing. But every time I got myself right back here, something else happened,
Right.
and it brought me back out. So after the last time I was inside, I said, you know what? I'm sick of living like this. I'm sick of being depressed. I'm sick of life beating me down. And they said, oh, you'll be back in 30 days, 60 days, whatever it is. And I said, no. I said, I'm good at boxing. I do great at boxing. And I always win my fights when I'm out. I said, I'm going home. I'm going to win nationals. I'm going to turn pro. And I'm going to be a world champion. And they laughed at me. They said, we'll see you in your little 60
Right.
days when you come back, when something happens again. And I went home. Thanks. 3 weeks later or something, I went to nationals. I won nationals, and I turned pro as soon as I came back. And I did everything I said I was going to do. And I never touched alcohol again. I never touched, I have a drink here and there, like a Truly, but
Yeah.
I don't. But for 15 years, I did not touch alcohol. I do not step into a bar still. It's just I changed my whole life, and I told myself, I said, I'm not doing this no more. I'm not doing it to myself. I'm not doing it to my family. I'm not doing it. I owe this to my mother. I owe this to me. Like I needed to save myself. And the only time I ever felt safe and okay was in the boxing gym. My Ken in his gym, and I don't even know if he realized this, him and Earl and them, like they raised me and my sister. We were orphans once my mom died, and it was us raising each other. And my sisters would come with me to the gym, and that ended up being like they fed us sometime. Roland Roy, the president of USA
Yeah.
Boxing, he was feeding me on certain days. Like I was homeless, I didn't have no food. He was feeding me. But Ken became like a father figure to me. And he got some stories, but and Brennan Ward was like a brother, and
Yeah.
Marsha and all them, like Marsha Agapino, that's like my sister, one of my best friends. But they became the family that we needed,
Right.
and that's what she said. She was like, "There's cops in there, there's criminals, everybody's in there together." She was like, "But that boxing gym was like a family." And she was like, thank God for that family, for my sister, for us, for my nieces and nephews that were little babies at the time. Like, those
the
people
dynamic
became our
is
people.
like, the dynamic is, I mean, people see the story of fighters, they watch TV, they see the pay-per-views, and they don't know the backdrop of the story.
Yep,
You
yep.
know, it's great. The cherry is you get to fight at that level, right? That's a great thing. But, look, we were talking about Tyson Fury and Usyk. Look at what Tyson Fury went through.
Yeah.
Depression,
Yep, yep.
serious mental issues, and everything. The guy becomes a world champion.
Yeah.
He overcame a lot. And there's other stories out there about fighters. I just drew that because we were talking about. But the dynamic is, you're right. The boxing gym becomes a family. Look,
Right.
At Champs, I was out of boxing for a while. All right. Now, I originally started in New York. And, when AJ Galante opened the gym here, he's like, hey, I don't, you're opening the gym. I don't know if I really want to be back in boxing. But
Yeah.
you know what? If it wasn't for him and the dynamic he set, that family dynamic that we have at the gym, I don't know, if I'd still be around boxing, because now it's like you said, there's stories of people in there and, that have touched me or touched us or, have become part of our family and we're part of their family.
Yeah.
And I love the dynamic.
For some of us, that's all we have. And I
Yeah.
always said when Kent was there for me, when my mom died and all the stuff that he did for me, I said, even before I turned pro or any of that stuff, I said, when I'm older, I'm going to make sure that I'm able to do that for kids.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm going to have my gym
And
now.
you know what? I love that because, look, I come out of a gym, Cornerstone Boxing, which is no longer there. It was in the South Bronx, 152nd and Prospect, rough neighborhood, right? My mentor and trainer, Pastor Ralph Farrar, who is not with us anymore, great New York City trainer. Actually, his two sons train Edgar Berlanga.
Okay.
All right, Ray and Mark Farrar. So you talk about a gym of dynamics of different people. We had people in there couldn't eat. So we would feed people like because Hunts Point Market was there. We'd go to the market, get canned goods. People would donate some, hand food out. At Christmas time, there were families who couldn't get toys. We had always an open thing. I mean, kids would come in off the street. I remember one night a kid being chased in with a group of kids chasing him with a machete, came running into the gym. And he was one of the fighters, and it was just like for the safe haven.
Yep.
But, I get that dynamic, and I think it's an important dynamic because you know what? People are treated differently in the boxing gym. Not in a harmful way, but there is a little bit of a tough love situation going on there where, it's not soccer, it's not baseball
Right.
that these kids
And it needs to be like that.
Yeah, I think so
Yeah.
too.
You also need to speak to them tough. They need to develop tough skin. You need to, it's not a sport where they need to be, even kids to a certain degree. They can't be babied.
No.
Because you get hurt there. People are trying to hurt your kids.
Well, people try, and right, and then there's all levels. Like you got to watch for, look, stronger kids take advantage sometimes of younger kids.
Yep.
Okay, it's part of, but you teach them to take care of themselves. But with parents, it's like they give us the rein to talk to, not in an abusive way, because I'm not going to be abusive to a kid,
Right.
verbally or physically anyway. Look, I got my little way that I'm going to talk to you about and see where you're at in your head. But I'm not a school teacher that mommy's going to send an email because you know what? This is not the place for your son or daughter. I'm sorry, man.
Right. Yep.
Okay? Like, take them somewhere else. But if they're going to come here, it's like they got to follow the plan.
Right.
If they can't follow the plan, we're not hugging them and we're not giving them trophies, okay?
Right.
But, we're going to hold them accountable.
Right. As they should be. And it guides you into, just like karate, it guides you into the right path to being a good adult.
Well, right? Because you fought, right? Getting ready for a fight, there's a system, there's a process, okay? If you cheat it, it's going to expose you.
Yep.
You may not think so, but you can sit there and say, you know what? I ran enough this week.
And I feel like that's what a lot of kids, they want to just say that they're a fighter. They don't want to do the work.
They don't realize what the work is.
Right.
This is what
we
talk about this because here's a society, right? Everybody looks at YouTube. Everybody's looking at what these. Look, you're a coach now, right? You know damn well you've been around different coaches. Coaches can make you look great on the pads for 3 minutes or 2 minutes and take a video, Oh, you look that. Oh yeah, they look great. But where's the fight found? The fight is found during the training to see what you're
Right.
made of.
Yep.
Those days that you don't want to
You
get
don't
out
want
of
to be
bed,
there. Yep.
that you're a little hurting, or you know what, you're doubting yourself at that moment, right? You're saying, "Oh, I don't know," or it's all part of the process, but
Hmm.
it's not instant gratification. And you know what? I never got to see you fight in person. I got to see you fight on TV. I've watched some of your tapes, right? You're a gifted fighter, a lot more gifted than maybe people who started in the sport because you had not this long amateur background. It was pretty fast. You were fast tracked,
Yeah.
right? What did you have? 30, 40 amateur fights
I had
total?
14.
14, even with
Yeah.
nationals.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
I was 11-4.
Oh,
Yep.
man.
Yeah. And it was because it was like when I turned pro, I was 31.
Yeah, but
But
see,
it was because of I kept going in and out of prison, and it was backtracking
I understand
me.
that, but don't take this the wrong way. All right. First of all, 31 today, most people are in great shape. Physically, we
Yeah.
know more than one. But also, I think now, and you started this, so if you were that 31-year-old woman starting and fighting today, it don't make a difference because women's fighting is here. It's big now, right?
Yeah, and I think that women, like the age thing, is different than with men.
Right.
Like your body can endure more than.
Well, also,
and we don't have women don't have the knockout power that men do.
right.
So I feel like you could last a little bit longer.
Plus, you're not, okay, because, and don't take this the wrong way, because you didn't have a big amateur background. You weren't in gym wars your whole life getting pounded out.
Nah.
So physically, you're in better shape, clarity-wise, injury-wise, and everything else. And you're right. You're not taking punches to the head constantly over and like that. But
Yeah, but no, because unfortunately, back when I was an amateur, there were no other girls.
right, so you
So I
sparring
had
with
to
men.
spar with
I get
boys.
that.
But I didn't stay amateur long. So
Yeah,
it really didn't matter. Plus, I was always vacationing. So
yeah.
yeah. But no, I see what you're saying. Yeah. But guys, it's like, especially the guys now too with women, they don't have the egos that the guys have. So like I feel like with the guys, they're always banging out. Girls work a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? I'm not an advocate of, look, sparring. You've been in there, right? You know sometimes when you're trying to work and get ready for a fight and someone's
Yeah,
trying
when
to...
you're getting ready for a
when
fight,
someone's
you
trying to,
gotta go.
when someone's trying to embarrass you. So now
Yeah.
the sparring changes.
Yeah.
Right? So I get those things. But, as the fight gets closer, the fight mentality clicks in.
Yeah, and you gotta go.
And you gotta go. You gotta go.
And if you
right
get in
there.
that ring, you gotta know that you gotta go.
Right.
If you get in that ring with that fighter that's getting ready for that fight, then you know you gotta go.
Yeah. And then you know what? And it's like, look, with certain fighters, I don't know, I like to advocate, like, we're going to spar X amount of rounds.
Yeah.
Like, knowing your fighter is half the battle. If I know my fighter's physically and ready, and maybe sparring is not the main issue of that camp, okay, then maybe. But the fact is, if there is really good sparring around, I like to see my fighter challenge himself.
Yeah.
I like to spar better than we're going to fight.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because now I got to see what you're made of.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to see. Okay, and if we have that camp where, okay, we sparring with this guy or this girl, right? And you're like, dude, that person is a better pedigree than the person you're going to fight. What do you think is going to happen fight night?
Yeah.
And as a fighter, you got to answer yourself, especially in the beginning stages of a fighter. You got to answer to yourself. I feel, do I belong here? So, like, when I take a fighter to, like, especially some of the younger fighters, and we're going to spar with, fighters that have a little more experience, in some of these bigger gyms, I'm like, don't get intimidated by who that person is because maybe you saw him on TV or her on TV. He punches what she punches with both hands that you got.
Right.
They do the same thing. So when you come out of that sparring session and you were with, this woman or that gentleman, and you're like, bro, you did pretty good, or you know what? Now that's got to boost your confidence right off the rip. I belong in this game.
Right.
I belong in this game. And you know what? And if you take a little bit of a shellacking and we go back and we look at it and you see why you took it, no harm, no foul to me.
Yeah.
But back to you. The decision to make pro, was that your decision, your team's decision, or was it just you were at the point you were like, let's get this thing going?
I mean, that's what Kurt told me.
Yeah.
But I mean, it made sense, and it was the thing to do. Otherwise, I would have been fighting the same people over and over. There was no girls, so it made
Right.
sense. Then I was fighting, like, I think I fought 7 times in my debut year. I was a huge ticket seller, so it was definitely the right thing to do. I really didn't think I would be as successful as I did, like, with the marketing and everything. Being a girl, and they didn't sign girls back then.
Were you with CES from the
I was
beginning?
with CES when I started,
Right.
and I ended up with Lou DiBella. I left there and I went with Lou DiBella, and then I was fighting on the Broadway boxing and all that
Yeah.
stuff, and then we had the 2 big fights with Heather on NBC for the PBC, and then
Yep.
HBO. And then I sold just as many tickets. I sold more tickets than her in the first one, and then the same as her at Madison Square Garden. Even though they told me if I fought in New York that the second one would be in Providence, but we ended up at Madison Square Garden. When it was there, I always wanted to be a professional basketball player, but for the Knicks.
Really?
So when
Well,
they
that's
said,
good, because I've been a Knicks fan
Yeah.
from the rip, and then you know what? I don't want to jinx it this year because it always seems like we get to the dance and they take somebody else.
So when they said Madison Square Garden, I said, I gotta go back there. I said,
Yeah.
so that was like a dream to, like, even just be in that building, and but it was, it was just, I'm just blessed to have the marketing that I did and do as well as I could, and I always was very vocal about women getting treated the way that the men did, and treat us equally, and we want the TV time, we want the pay, we want
Right.
whatever, and to know that me and her, because it wasn't just me, it wasn't just Heather, that we did that and got women to that point. It was such a...
Well, you know what? At that time, especially coming out of New York and watching you guys, okay, I know of Heather. I don't know her personally. I've watched her career through, the fights, Broadway boxing, being out of Gleason's. I go back to the same thing. You guys were kind of the pioneers at that time.
Yeah.
There was really not too many mainstream women fighting at that time. And, I don't want to disrespect my girl, Maureen Shea, who I know forever.
I love
Yeah,
Mo.
I mean, she's, I got to see her launch her career and know what she went through, and she's unbelievable. Let me ask you, do you guys you did the heavy lifting. What do you guys think if you and Heather were fighting today as far as a market? Like, we talked about Taylor and Serrano. You guys were on the East Coast, mainstay names. What do you think you would have generated today as far as you did a great job at that point with a fan base. Social media was really coming into play, not like it is today where the marketing and everything else and your brand and your names and your stories that you both you and Heather have.
yeah.
You and Heather have background stories.
Yeah.
You know what? And, the nicknames, the whole ethnicity, that's a whole brand right there to market you two to fight. Where do you think? Are you 80,000 people in an arena today, you fighting her?
Oh, to be way more now. I mean, but not at these ages.
No, not at the age. Like
At the
if
same
you,
age then.
right, if you were to take where you guys were then and put it in today's market at your age.
Oh, I think it would be way bigger. I
Right.
mean, who knows the numbers, but of course, like, we did that well. And even me bringing that many bus loads to New York, I think, I think we do way better now. But it was before.
Social media,
Yeah.
Women's boxing was still
It
getting
was
its
still,
legs.
it was on its way.
Yeah,
on
it was
its
still
way up.
getting its legs. You know what?
But it's so beautiful to see where it's at now. Like Amanda and Katie getting the $1 million paydays, women on every single card. Like, that's just something that we were just like hoping and praying and wishing to see. And
Yeah, but you know, we go back to you guys. You're right. Where it is today, it is today. You know,
I mean, it ain't where it should be,
I
but
think
it's
listen,
way beyond where it was.
Those two women opened up the sport for women.
Yep.
Okay, like I don't know what your gym is now. I've watched you on social media. I know you got some girls up there. You had some girls on your show. Man, you're walking into these gyms, and I think sometimes there's more women in the gym than there are men in some areas.
And they can fight.
They can fight.
They can fight. Back in the day, you had a couple girls that could fight, but now, like, these girls could fight. Some of these girls are beating up men. You know what I'm saying? Like, they could fight, bro.
They can fight.
Yeah.
They're confident. That
they're marketable.
Exactly. They're marketable. But, you know, you go back to you. You know, you fought in the biggest venue in the world, the Mecca, Madison Square Garden. You know, for me, I was lucky enough to have two fighters to fight there. One was a kickboxer who won a K1 championship, and one was a heavyweight. And you know what? Like, at the end of the day, like, I talk about boxing, I've been blessed. I've been really blessed in boxing. You know, I got a win in Madison Square Garden, 2, and I got 2 in Gleason's. So you know what? Those are the oldest things. Like, if you talk boxing, but going back to you fought on PBC and you fought on HBO.
And we were the first women to ever do that. And I think still the only women.
Right. Mainstream on NBC.
We had more views than Errol Spence. They had to put Errol Spence on before us because if they didn't, there'd be nobody in the crowd. Me and Heather sold out half of that.
Yeah.
And I sold out the other half. There wouldn't even been nobody there to see the main event. There would have been nobody there for television that night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So your 2 losses, unfortunately, come to Heather Hardy.
My 1 loss.
Yeah, we talked about this.
Right?
That first fight.
The first fight I beat Heather.
Let's talk about the first fight.
Right.
Go ahead.
So
give me your thoughts on that.
If you watch that on mute, first of all, they only highlighted when she hit me, even in the highlighted things. But she would hit me with a pot shot, whatever, and yeah, it looked good. But like I was hurting her. I was hitting her with 3 or 4 shots to the 1 shot when she hit me. Like
you were more aggressive.
I was more. I did not back up once. My back did not hit a rope once. I was backing her up the whole fight. I was hitting her with 3, 4, 5 shots at a time. Sometimes ending the shot with 12-shot combination. She was hitting me with 2, 3 shots at a time. She hit me with some nice uppercuts, and she did hit me with some nice jabs. But like you could clearly see I was hurting her and everything. The second fight, yes, I lost. You know what I'm saying? I'm saying it.
Yeah.
If I lost, I lost. You know what I'm saying? I'm not one of them people, but the first fight I clearly won. And I say that like with everything inside of me. If I lost, I would say I lost. Everybody has their own opinion. But I think in my heart, I know I won. And that bothered me. And that cut was from a headbutt, not from a shot.
Yeah.
But I think I won that fight. When me and Heather are 70, we should do the third fight. Because I'm already 63. Nah. But me and Heather, I talk to Heather all the time now. Everything that we were going through at that time, we did hate each other. It was real.
Yeah, but
nothing about that was fake.
Listen, you know that, and it's not a hate. Like it was hate.
We did not like each other. Our kids didn't like each other.
It was a family thing.
Yeah, her daughter's flicking off my daughter.
Okay.
It was her fans.
So it wasn't fight. It wasn't fight hype.
Yeah, no, it wasn't fight hype at all. It was real. It was
all right,
real.
I got you.
But now, me and Heather text all the time. We talk all the time. Like those fights actually brought us together. We actually have so much in common, and a lot of the stuff we both went through. We have a lot of similar
but we go
story.
back. You know what? And look, every sport's got to have advocates, right? You got to have advocates to the sport that are real. All right? So you take you 2 ladies, right? Fought twice, NBC, HBO.
Yep.
Okay? Biggest in the day at the time. All eyes on you when women's boxing is not prevalent. And you got 2 women who could actually fight at the time. It's not a circus. It's a fight. It's a fight,
and
right?
The stress from that, I had boxes. It's the same thing with her because I know she did messaging. Oh, you guys better look good because if you guys look like shit, like women's boxing's never gonna be aired again. Women like hearing it from everywhere. Lou.
Well, you got
yo,
Lou.
You
Lou's
guys better back it up.
Yeah,
like,
Lou's like, okay, he knew that once that you started bringing people, he's cool with that because now there's no ghost in the arena.
Yeah,
but you brought people and you put a show on.
But we also had to make sure that fight was everything that we said it was going to be. Yeah, and the skills.
Well, definitely it was because they had to run it back.
Yep.
You had to run it back. But the thing is getting up in a room with people and having some validity to the sport. Now as a coach, and I know Heather's coaching and training people out at Gleason's. Now we go back to the real aspect of the sport, okay? So you go from, was being a trainer after your career a natural for you? Or did you say, I'm done with boxing. I don't really want to. I don't want to be around the sport.
I need boxing. Boxing is, without boxing, I would have been dead or in jail. Without boxing, I know I'm right back in the depression. Why do you think I did that dumbass cockfighting TCL?
Yeah,
the energy is dope, but like, I was 46. It was my birthday. Like, why did I do it? Because I missed boxing. I was depressed, and I needed to have what filled me.
Yeah.
And I needed to fill that void again. I could have I made the same money that I would have made if I would have just had one regular little fight again. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, but you know what? I get what you're saying because
I did
I've
it
seen
because
it
I missed boxing.
because it's calling you back and you want to see what's left. And look,
I didn't even want to see what was left. I missed boxing. Without boxing, I'm depressed. Without boxing, I feel like I'm nothing. I have nothing. Like, I'm that little kid.
Yeah.
Crying in my closet. I'm that little kid crying for help.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, boxing is what fills me, and boxing is my counselor.
Yeah.
Boxing is my therapy. And it's
I know exactly.
So I needed that, and without that, I guess, to just keep it real, I didn't know if I was gonna be able to save myself anymore.
Right.
But now, with the gym and the kids, I'm realizing that I always wanted to be a trainer after I was done.
Right.
I just wasn't ready to give it up because
Right.
fighting doesn't fill it like it does coaching. But like now, I'm completely happy.
Right. You put your
I filled
career
the
here,
void,
and now it's
yeah.
another step into the sport of.
And watching the kids evolve and get better, it makes me happy again.
Yeah. But I mean, look, and
it's just so hard to let go.
Listen, my kids, and look, I was not, and I don't advocate. I had 3 amateur fights. I was not a fighter. Okay. Boxing, I was a baseball player. Boxing found me because my dad had sent me to a boxing gym for conditioning. Okay.
Yeah.
And I always gravitated back to it. I was not very good, and people asked me to say, how were you as a fighter? I said, very bad. So, my kids always said, because as being a trainer and a coach, boxing was my girlfriend. Where's your father? Oh, he's with his girlfriend. And the joke was, like, people would look at them, my 2 daughters, he's at the gym.
Right.
It's like, okay. But I get that point that it just takes you. But you've also been at a very high level of the sport around some of the top people. You've trained with good people. You've fought good people. You've seen that. So not only your experience as a fighter, but now you've had that experience with people who prepared you to fight.
Right.
That taught you tricks, that got in your head when you didn't want to fight or didn't want to train or whatever was going on in your life, that they had to bring you back down.
Right.
Now, you as a coach.
You can give all that back.
Now, you as a coach coming in are, somebody, like I said before, that shows validity. But, you downplay, like, look, I've spoke with you at shows as a coach and really have not had a conversation with you, read a little bit about you and stuff like that. But you downplay, I think, what you have accomplished. Hearing what you're saying, because, look, you started this sport, had stuff going on, gravitated to the sport. You took to the ground running with this thing very quickly, okay? And, look, your career has been a very good career. You're Connecticut Hall of Famer. Now you're a Women's Hall of Famer. I don't think you give yourself enough credit for what you did. And that's just me from talking to you right here. I don't think you realize,
No, I
what
do.
what you personally did and what you're personally going to do going forward. Because I know you're going to be a good trainer. You're going to have a world champion somewhere.
I know I'm a good trainer, and I
Yeah.
know I'm a great trainer.
I've
I know,
seen I've
and
seen
I'm
the way
waiting
you
for the
work.
world to see that. And I was blessed to learn from Peter Manfredo. He was a great
Right.
trainer. I learned stuff from Alex Rivera. He's a great trainer. I learned stuff from
Can't.
DeLuca. He was a great trainer. Roland Estrada. Like, I've been around all these people, and
Yeah.
I picked up stuff from. But the main stuff that I learned was from Peter, and great trainer, fundamentals and everything. I'm very big on fundamentals and everything.
Yeah, I watched some of him, and look, watching him train people, his son and everybody else, growing up and seeing. Yeah, I don't know him. I never met him, but he could see, the way he coaches. I see some of his posts here and there, not so much lately.
Yeah, back in the day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can see how he coaches and everything else like that. What was his style like? How many fights did he work with you? That you work with him? Actually, who trained you for Heather's fight? I'm sorry, I don't recall.
Pete.
Okay.
Pete. I've been with Pete since I was 2-0, 3-0.
Okay.
I think just not my first fight.
Right.
I think.
And how was that dynamic?
Oh, it was during my career, great. Yeah. During my career, great. It was uncomfortable at first because it was a totally different style than how I fought in the amateurs and how
Yeah, you
Kurt
went from
trained me.
amateur to pro style.
Yeah, and then Kurt trained me totally different. Then I kind of fought with the arm down behind it. I was very slick, picked it up, and then Pete kept me more in the pocket more. Still making the same moves, but in the pocket.
Going to the body more.
Yeah, and picking my hand up, all
Yeah.
that stuff. So, but but then once I learned that how he was teaching me his style, it was great. It worked out. The chemistry was great. It's all about chemistry, man.
Yeah.
If there's no chemistry between the trainer and the fighter, it's never gonna work.
We're spending too much time with each other.
Right.
If there's friction, it's like a bad relationship. You got to cut it loose.
Right.
You know what I mean? No harm, no foul. You got to cut it loose. But personally for me, I mean, I've had fighters live in my house. At times, I think you got to be close to that fighter. You got to know what makes that fighter tick.
Mm-hmm.
I got to know when I could step on your toes a little bit.
Yep.
Or basically, put it to you this way: when I got to hug you or when I got to kick you in the ass.
Yep.
I got to know the dynamic of
Yep.
that. I got to know when I could, set your triggers, push on you, or I got to give you a little bit of a break, or I got to get in your head. I got to know where you are.
Yeah. No, that's real.
You can't be in and, I don't know, you can't coach from the outside. You can't be those trainers that come in for the fight and it doesn't work.
Right. No, you spot on.
It doesn't work. But, for you now, the gym, tell us a little bit about, I know you're putting a lot of work in. I see you on Instagram. I see you guys almost there, but I see a lot of the kids that you got working there. And, we got to have a young lady on your last show in Connecticut at Rude Dog. And I saw some of your fighters out there. They're very, very, very fundamental. Tell us about what you think your style is going to be here now, is building young amateur fighters and maybe someone a pro, or what is your dynamic when people walk into your gym, Shelly? What are you asking of them, and what are you telling of them?
My hard work, I want to see like the drive and everything that I had. I just want hard workers that's just giving their all, strong mindset, ready to work. The gym it's gonna be a boxing gym, the Office Fitness. It's about 4,000 square feet. Right now, just the fighters are in there training. We're still working on the back room where the classes are going to be done, where the weights are. The front room's pretty much done. Where the ring is, it's got a 22 by 22 foot ring, competition ring. Go off of classes, PT, strength and conditioning.
Right.
Same as your gym. And bunch of other programs, but we're still working on that back room. We're hoping to open by mid-January for those other
Right.
options or February. But, as the fight is, you're going to learn fundamentals. I'm going to push you, hard work. And, I just want them to give their all and be willing to learn. And if you're a male coming in the gym, be willing to learn from a female.
Yeah.
Because I feel like, you know how it is. It's like a lot of these young men and guys in this era, it's like they almost don't respect women in anything.
Yeah.
It's hard.
I mean, that's another dynamic in boxing. We're starting to see women coaches.
Yep.
I happen to know a woman who is out of Montreal she is unbelievable. She actually grew up with Arturo Gatti, trained with him. Her family is the Hilton
how's
brothers.
his son? His
son
son's
is-
fighting now,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, he's supposed to be fighting again. Yeah, he's starting to come along. So, yeah, but listen, knowledge is knowledge. I don't care where it comes from.
Right.
I don't care, man. Like when the time comes, if we get in a fight already, right? And let's just say, for example, you're in the gym and you come over and say, "Hey, this is what I see." Okay.
Right.
What else do you see? You're gonna help me get my fighter a little better. That may be something I'm not seeing. I'm not having an ego.
Right.
Like, I don't have an ego as a coach. I don't care. I just want the guy or the girl to be better.
Right. Right.
But, one thing we see, especially pros that transition to training, is it harder because of what you went through? Do you expect your people to be not like you, but you were hardworking, had a good career?
So you expect that out of everybody.
Do you expect that? And because I think some fighters get disillusioned with that. Everybody's not them.
Right. And
Everybody's not going to be them.
and you're not going to get that out of everybody.
Yeah.
And it's hard because you expect it and you know that you can get it.
Yeah.
And if you don't, it's like, go.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I've seen some coaches and, when I was doing, okay, but that's not you.
Right.
It was a different day.
Right.
And these kids are different. You know what I
They
mean?
don't want to work.
No.
I feel like a lot of them, they don't.
No,
It's
they
not,
want
it's
to
not
wake
the same
up.
as the old school fighters and the new school. They're not the same.
No,
They just want to do
because-
just enough.
Okay.
Just
But
enough.
why? Why are we seeing that? No offense.
This whole era is
We're seeing
ass
Jake
backwards.
Paul.
I hate it.
We're seeing Jake
Yeah.
Paul, who is not really a fighter, and I'm not this because he trains.
works hard, though.
He works hard.
He works
I
hard.
give him that credit, right?
Yeah.
But he's got the money. He
Right.
didn't grow up hard, right? He didn't grow up
Right.
in an inner city gym where he had to make his bones, okay? And I'm not taking anything away from him because you know what? To fight at any level and at that level against the people he's fighting with and sparring with,
Yep.
and I talk to people who've been in camp with him, I'm not going to take it away. But kids see that. They see
Yeah.
okay, they don't see
never thought
the
about it like that
story
before.
of I grew up in the Tyson era. They don't see the story of Mike
Yeah.
Tyson. Grew up hard.
Right.
Like, situational stuff going on in his life. Okay, where
a lot of the same stuff I saw at home.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Not seeing good things.
Yeah.
Right? Not seeing good people around him. Not seeing a role model saying, "Hey, Mike, here's a brand new pair of shoes. Get up. Here's your gear. Make sure you got your food, got your protein,
He
got your
needed
bottles
cuss.
of water."
He needed cuss. He
We
needed that
all,
boxing.
honestly, the trainer steps in and does that stuff.
Yep.
Okay? Yeah, he did because it saved him. And
Right.
it's just not stories of Mike Tyson. There's stories of everybody else out there
Yep.
in boxing. And one thing it's a lonely sport too at times, man.
And they
Right?
turn on you.
How many
like this.
people were getting up at 4:30 with you to run, Shelly?
Shit, nobody.
Right?
Nobody.
Maybe one, maybe two people in your
Nobody.
life. Okay?
Nobody.
Okay.
Yep.
Right? And as a fighter, unfortunately, fighters take L's and everybody's like,
They're gone.
why?
Yeah.
But you don't know. You don't know what happened in that fight. You don't know what took. Okay, a loss is a loss. Big deal.
Yep.
Okay? That doesn't change anything else. But yeah, this sport, and that's where I see kids, they don't want. You tell a kid to get up 4:30, 5 o'clock in the
They're
morning, we're
not.
going to run.
Nope.
Whether it's cold, raining, or whatever, we're still going to run.
Yeah.
You know what? Then you got to go home, okay? If you're still in school, go to school, come back, and we boxing at night,
Yep.
right? Where'd you train? 2 times a day? You did your conditioning in the morning, you boxed at night? 3, okay? Yeah, 3. That's good.
Yeah. But
know what I mean?
I wanted it. And the thing is, I wanted it. I wanted to be the best. I wanted to show that I belonged in here with these men. That I deserve I deserve to get the same money as you. I deserve to be on TV. I deserve to be in this gym with you. I'm doing the same shit as you are. I'm putting the same asses in these seats as him. You know what I'm saying?
And I got skill.
Right. And I'm working just as hard as him. Watch this. He's gonna quit before I do. You know what I'm saying? The only thing I couldn't do was punch as hard. I didn't have punching power.
Yeah, but that's
you know
a
what I'm
God
saying?
thing.
Right. But that's the only thing that you know what I'm saying? Oh, that's one thing I couldn't do. But everything else, I was gonna make sure that I did harder or to my best ability just to show that I belong here.
Listen, Paulie Malignaggi made a career of not being able to punch hard.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what? And I always said...
I got compared to him a lot, too.
I always said, and I love Paulie Malignaggi, one of my favorite fighters out there. I always said, if that man could punch, watch the hell out. And I was at the Cotto fight, and I said, damn, if he had a little punching power, he beats Cotto that night.
My pressure was crazy.
Yes.
You never see me tired. I could always go
forward.
Yep, and I could still keep going at the end of those 10 rounds. But it's like I always put in more, trying to just belong. You know, or to prove that I belong. But it was because there wasn't many of us, and we were just trying to prove that we could be here with these men.
Okay, that's part of it, but you were built that way.
Yeah, I was built that way.
You were
and
built
that's
that
thing.
way.
You can't teach that. It's either in you or it's not.
That's right, because you could have been the fighter that you are talent-wise, right?
Yep.
If you didn't have the drive to get to where you are, it's not there.
Wouldn't have got nowhere.
It wouldn't have got there. So that was already built in you to go into, you know, male or female, your DNA was, you had that in there.
Right.
Okay? Yep. Already, that drive was already in there for you to do that.
And it's...
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's what's going to produce champions out of you as a coach, because I go back to the same thing.
Because you demand that.
You demand it, but you could also sit down and say, hey, I was where you were at this point. I was where you were at mentally or physically at this point of your time. You're going through certain things that I already went through.
Yep.
And that becomes real with the connection to a fighter or even a person. Forget about if they're a fighter. You can sit down, talk to somebody in your gym that might be having personal issues, whatever. Hey, man, I was there.
Yeah.
You know, you go back to the same thing. And I ain't trying to blow smoke up your ass. Don't take this the wrong way. You've had a full circle of things, of reality, success, situational things at your home growing up, jail, substance abuse, okay? You flip that script. You flip that script.
Actually,
that's something to be, not only as a fighter, but that's something to be proud of as a person, because it crumbles a lot of people out there.
Yeah.
It crumbles them, you know, and you know what? Hearing your story, because I didn't know the backdrop of your stuff. Like I said, as a fighter, yes, I know your backdrop, okay? And I appreciate you sharing that with me, because I think it's strong and it's powerful and it's something that, you know, you can utilize as a coach now.
Yeah, you could pull yourself out of anything as long as you are willing to pull yourself out of it, because I tried to. I ain't even gonna get back into it. But
I know.
That's what I tell the kids at the gym.
Yeah.
And with everything, is like I went through all of this, but I got to this today.
Yeah.
And I was trying to kill myself every day.
Yeah.
But now I'm happy to like be here, and that's why you see like I downplay everything with my boxing and everything, because I didn't get into boxing for that. I got in boxing to save me.
I get that. Yeah. What I'm saying is this is like, you know what I mean downplay is I think people don't realize, and probably a lot of your kids don't realize how your career went and how good your career was.
Yeah.
Okay? So that's what I mean about downplaying, because I could tell you're a humble person. Yeah. And I don't mean that you're out there boasting, because none of us get involved in the boxing and say, hey, we're here. It consumes us. You know what I mean? Once you're in it, it's just like a friggin' tornado. It's just spinning you around till one day it's going to kick you out, you know? But, you know, that reality is going to make you successful as a coach and everything else. And, you know, I'm really happy that you came on, and really, I love it. We're going to kind of tighten this up a little bit here.
Yeah.
And I want to ask you really one thing. Like, if you were giving advice to somebody, they asked you to say, Shelly, you know, what advice would you give somebody, not only going into the sport of boxing right now, but what advice would you give, a young fighter today, let's say?
Listen. Yep, just listen, give your all. And if you're not ready to give your all and listen and learn, it ain't the time to do it. Yeah.
Awesome. So kind of tell everybody where we can find you on your social media. What I'd like to do is, we'll talk a little bit off. When you get the gym open, I'd like to come up there, bring some cameras,
for sure.
do a little nice thing for you opening the gym. I think it's a great story. Get some of your fighters on, and you know what? But kind of tell us where we can find you, find your gym. It's opening roughly in January, late January, you said.
Yep.
In Providence. What's the name of it?
Shelito's Way Boxing and Fitness.
Awesome.
Providence, Rhode Island. I dropped the address once it's completely ready. Social media, Facebook, Shelly Vincent. Instagram, Shelito's Way. My other one is Shelito's Way Boxing.
Right.
And that's pretty much all I do. I don't really do the Twitter.
Yeah,
I have one, but I don't really.
All right. Well, one other thing before. You're going back out to Vegas when? April?
I get inducted the 4th and the 5th.
All right.
The dinner's the 5th. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I mean, that's got to be a big honor.
Yeah, it's amazing. From
Were you surprised when they called you?
No, yeah.
I don't mean from a talent end. When you were surprised that you got the call, you know what I mean? Like there's always that dream, like you want to be.
Yeah.
Were you
Especially,
surprised?
I wish my mom could see all this from like what we've been through and everything. Because on her deathbed, my mother said, "Shelly, promise me, you're never gonna stop boxing,
right?
Because boxing's what's gonna save you."
Yeah.
And it's like that's why.
Well, it's not saved you, dear.
Yeah.
Because you're still going strong, and you know what? It's only solidified you. And you know what? All your accolades right there.
Keeps me balanced.
Yeah. But you're going to keep your fighters balanced.
Oh, yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
Well, I tell you what. We definitely want to come up and see you in Providence.
Thank you, my man.
All right? And we're going to be looking for you to get that honor out in April at the Women's Boxing Hall of Fame. Congratulations again. And,
thank you.
We're excited to see you do great things, And this is Coach Dave, Coach's Corner Podcast. Train hard, train smart, and we'll see you in the next round.
Thank y'all for having me.